Hi, I'm Tom Lydon with ETF Trends here in Washington, D.C. at the Charles Schwab Institutional Conference here with Jason Bloom, who's Director of Global Macro ETF Strategy at Invesco. Great seeing you, Jason.
Great seeing you, thanks for having me.
There's a lot of discussion going on, and you just spoke about this earlier on stage, about what's going on with China. Give us your perspective.
Well, there's been a lot of volatility, obviously, this year, both in the geopolitics around China and as a result, right, the equity and to some cases, the fixed income markets. 6 months ago, I think the current administration had us all sort of on the track of, we're going to take an extreme position, then we're going to kind of, negotiate back from that and just get a better deal done. And that has played out with Mexico, Taiwan, Canada, and we're on that track with the EU. But a lot of people have said, what's our posture going to be with China? And in the meetings that I've been able to observe with some pretty experienced foreign policy officials, whether they're hawks or doves, they unanimously agree that China is a significant long-term economic competitor to the US, and that the playing field is lopsided and that needs to change. So I don't think that the midterm elections are going to be the solution necessarily. You have to be prepared for maybe some longer term volatility as that process with China plays out. But you can't discount completely the chance that we could get a deal.
Yeah.
And so people say, well, look, if you look at earnings, EM and China look cheap. Maybe I want to buy now. But there's a risk that it gets cheaper.
Right.
So one of the ideas for positioning that we've been talking to clients about is using a LowVol screen in your equity, EM equity exposure. So you can have some money at work in case we do get that sort of quick resolution. But if there is continued volatility and it drags on, you've got the downside protection, not complete protection obviously, but the low downside capture that LowVol affords you.
So you kind of have to weigh it out. If like you're saying, we could be not only through the end of the year, but into next year and still not have a resolution.
Right.
It could continue to get heated, which could put more pressure on global markets, so we could see more volatility. Or on the other hand, I'm sure you've noticed a couple days where you see some positive news about talks. All of a sudden, EM markets in China are up 2 and 3% in a day, just like that.
Yep.
So what happens if they actually do resolve it? What does that mean?
Well, I think you highlighted a great point, that timing it is difficult. And if you wait for the good news, that market could be running while you're trying to get into it. So getting in a position established with a LowVol, LowVol equity screen allows you to be there when the news takes off, but it allows you to weather the volatility if it does drag out further into the future. I mean, emerging markets long term are still, I think, a great opportunity, right? At the end of the day, earnings follow growth, stock prices follow earnings, and the growth and the demographics in the EM world are the highest anywhere.
And you've got single-digit PEs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we may not see these opportunities come up again, but as you point out, it could get cheaper before it gets better. And but don't sidestep the market.
Right.
Don't avoid what's going on, because we might see a little bit more. A great way to keep you in the game, and especially as you're talking to clients as you're coming up the end of the year, because they're feeling it in the gut a little bit, right? So they're talking to their advisors and saying, how about taking something off the table? Well, we can do something almost as good by applying a LowVol strategy.
Yep, exactly right, exactly right. You don't have to completely just pull away from the markets, but position yourself defensively so that you can take advantage of the long-term trend, but weather the short-term volatility.
Yeah. And Invesco has been one of the premier issuers that offer low volatility strategies in a lot of different forms.
Yep.
So just go to Invesco.com and you can find out everything about it. Jason, I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely, thanks
Thank
Tom.
you.
It's good to see you again.
Good seeing you.